I have said and admitted that there was a theft at the farm, and I reported that to a general of the South African police, who later informed me that he's also reported it to another general of the South African police. That matter obviously is under processing within the police service. They are dealing with it. I deny that there was any form of money laundering. I have said, and I've said it more publicly, that it was proceeds of sale of game.
In June 2022, former spy boss Arthur Fraser blew the lid on the First Citizen, in a revelation that would become the nation's biggest test to haunt him to date. A suspicious global lens landed on President Ramaphosa, with calls for accountability calling for him to step aside. The incident, which dominated headlines, became the subject of investigations through core institutions in the country, as well as a probe by the Section 89 independent panel set up by Parliament. The panel was the first to answer the question of a possible ethical violation by the President. The report made adverse findings that the President may have a case to answer. The panel, led by former Chief Justice Sandile Ngcobo, found among other things that there were discrepancies in the President's account of the events that took place on this Phala Phala farm in 2020. Parliament would later vote against its adoption, but before that, a media briefing was called where it was believed that the President would throw in the towel in an imminent announcement, until his spokesperson emerged, pouring cold water on the growing rumors of a resignation.
We are in an unprecedented and extraordinary moment as a constitutional democracy as a result of the report, and therefore whatever decision the President makes, that decision has to be informed by the best interest of the country, and that decision cannot be rushed.
The President vowed to take the report on judicial review. The Constitutional Court denied him direct access.
That judgment just says there is no case for the ConCourt to be petitioned directly, and I think we should put that into context and understand it. I've heard some of your colleagues saying it's a blow to the President. It's not a blow to the President.
While the presidency previously said that Ramaphosa had options, the judicial bid lost its legs at that point. Investigations into the matter continued in other bodies, but all cleared him in the matter. Then Acting Public Protector Advocate Kollega Gcalega cleared the President of any wrongdoing in a 191-page report on the saga. The Chapter 9 institution found no merit in the allegation that Ramaphosa's financial interests in game and cattle farming at the Limpopo farm exposed him to conflict of interest between his official duties and private interests. She did, however, finger General Wally Roeder, the President's security head, for acting improperly by investigating the housebreaking at the farm without a registered case docket.
However, he does not run the operations of the farm. There are managers who manage the farm. There are farm workers who work on the farm. It is the manager, even on the day in question, who handled the transaction of sale. It was not the President. He was not present at the farm. They also gave information that he actually goes to the farm rarely. He's not always at the farm.
The South African Reserve Bank, in a report that has not been made public, further cleared the President, finding that there was no perfected transaction. A finding which garnered much criticism and confusion.
So, of course, had we been able to access the report, we would have been able to figure out what the interactions were with the person who originally brought the money into the country. Because if the Reserve Bank is to reach a conclusion that this transaction is still subject to particular conditions, well, those conditions must have been conditions agreed to between the buyer and the seller. So it would be impossible to imagine that they only engaged with the farm or the President's version of the story and did not corroborate that with the person who was the counterparty to the transaction.
However, as the path to exoneration continued for the President, it appeared a crime had taken place and suspects would be held accountable. Froliana and David Joseph, as well as the alleged mastermind behind the robbery, Imanuwela David, were nabbed. The trio's matter is ongoing in the courts. Meanwhile, the Hawks are yet to pronounce on the case opened by Fraser. Kani Maphanga, SABC News, Johannesburg.